In this video, we are going to be considering conversion of decimal fraction to base 10. Now remember, in the previous video, we considered conversion of other bases to base 10. And if you've not watched that video, you need to go watch it. Or for any reason, if you did not watch the clear video, you need to go watch it. Now remember, I said you should look at conversion as something like this. This is base 10, the skyscraper. And then other bases, base 2, base 3, base 5, base 16, are like bungalows. So if we are told to convert from other bases to base 10, it's like a promotion. So we are going to be multiplying. I hope you can still remember this. Now, even in this case in which we are expected to convert decimal fraction to base 10, we are still going to be using this analogy. So I'd love you to still put this at the back of your mind. Is that okay? Now let's take some questions. Now in this question, we are told to convert 1101 in base 2 to base 10. Now can we solve this? Remember, we are converting from base 2, which is like a bungalow, to base 10, which is a natural base, and it's like a promotion, so we multiply. And I hope you've not forgotten Mrs. You multiply, you rank, and you simplify. So can we solve this? We have 1101 in base 2. We multiply each of the digits with 2, which is the base. So 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 0 times 2 plus 1 times 2. And then the next thing we rank. We rank from right to left. 0, 1, 2, 3. And remember, we are ranking the base. And then the last thing we simplify. So this becomes 1 times 2 raised to power 3 is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 times 2 raised to power 2 is 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 0 times 2 raised to power 1 is 2. Plus 1 times anything raised to power 0 is 1. So 2 raised to power 0 is 1. Do you understand? 1 times 8 is 8. Plus 1 times 4 is 4. Plus 0 times 2. Remember, I say when 0 is multiplying anything, it's like a bomb. So 0 times 2 is 0. So we have 0. Plus 1 times 1 is 1. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 0 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. So this is the answer. 1101 in base 2 is 13 in base 10. Now let's take another example, especially considering the topic for this video. Now, so we've got this question, convert 1110.11 in base 2 to base 10. Now, in this case, we have a decimal. Do you understand? Now, look at how we are going to solve this. So remember, it's still the same thing. We are converting from a bungalow to a big skyscraper. So it's like a promotion. We multiply. Now, before solving this, I want to show you something. I'm going to differentiate the two parts of this decimal. We have the part we call the whole part, and then we have the part we call the fractional part. Can you see? So this is the whole part, the part before the point, the decimal point. And the fractional part are the digits after the decimal point. Do you understand? Now this part, we are going to treat it the way we've been treating conversion. And then this other part, which is the fractional part, there's going to be a little tweak to it. Now let's look at this. Now remember, the first thing, multiply, rank, and then we have simplify. So we multiply by the base. So we have 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 0 times 2. You see, I'm already through with the whole parts. 1, 1, 1, 0. Do you understand? Now we rank as we used to rank. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Do you understand? Now let's treat the fractional parts. So we continue. So we have plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2. Do you understand? That's the fractional part. Now look carefully. Now for the whole part, we rank from right to left. For the fractional part, we rank from left to right. While from this part, we were ranking from right to left. Do you understand? So instead of starting from 0, we start from minus 1. So this will be minus 2. If we add another digit, it will be minus 3. Do you understand? So since we've ranked, can we now simplify? So this would be 1 times 2 raised to power 3 is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 times 2 raised to power 2 is 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 1 times 2 raised to power 1 is 2. So we have 2. Plus 0 times 2 raised to power 0 is 1. Because anything raised to power 0 is 1. Do you understand? So we have plus 1 times. Now 2 raised to power minus 1. This is integer. So there's a law in integer that when you have a raised to power minus 1, it's equal to 1 over a raised to power 1. So it's like this minus sign in the index part turns to 1 over. Do you understand? So when you have a raised to power minus 2 is equals to what? 1 over. Then we have a raised to power 2. Does this make sense? So if I have 2 raised to power minus 1, it will be the same thing as 1 over 2 raised to power 1. Do you understand? So I have 1 over 2 raised to power 1. We have 1 times 2 raised to power minus 2 is 1 all over 2 raised to power 2. Remember, the minus at the index turns to 1 all over. Do you understand? So let's do this. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 times 2 is 2, plus 0 times 1 is like a bomb, so it destroys it. 0, plus we have 1 times 1 all over 2 raised to power 1 is 2, plus 1 times 1 all over 2 raised to power 2 is 2 times 2, which is 4. So it means that we have 8 plus 4 is 12, 12 plus 2 is 14, 14 plus 0 is 14. So we have 14, and then we have plus 1 times half is 1 over 2, plus 1 times 1 over 4 is 1 over 4. Do you understand? So it means we have 14 plus 1 over 2 plus 1 over 4. Now we can solve them together. Find the LCM. LCM of 1, 2, and 4 is 4. 4 in 1 is 4. 14 times 4, we have 4 times 4 is 16, 6 carry 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we have 56, plus 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Do you understand? So if we solve the remaining here, it means that our answer equals to 56 plus 2 is 58. 58 plus 1 is 59. So we have 59 all over 4. And this is in base 10. So 1110.11 in base 2 is equal to 59 all over 4. I hope you understand it. So we have this beautiful question. Convert 1111.111 in base 2 to base 10. Now don't forget, base 2 is like a bungalow, base 10 skyscraper. So this is like a promotion, so we multiply. But also don't forget that this is a decimal, so we need to differentiate between the whole and the fractional part. Now lastly, do not also forget the process: multiply by the base, rank, and simplify. Now having said this, let's solve. So we have 1111, then we've got 0.111 in base 2. Now remember, first step, multiply. So we do the whole first. 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2. Remember, there are 4 ones. So we have to be sure we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you understand? Now before we do the fractional part, we rank. Remember, we rank from right to left, starting from 0. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. And don't forget, we are ranking the base. Now let's do the fractional part. So we have plus. How many ones do we have? 3 ones. So we have 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 times 2. Now we have to rank also, but we are ranking from left to right. Does this make sense? And then we are starting from minus 1. So we have minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Can we now simplify? So we have 1 times 2 raised to power 3. 2 raised to power 3 is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we have 1 times 8 plus 1 times 2 raised to power 2 is 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 times 2 raised to power 1 is 2 plus 1 times 2 raised to power 0 is 1, because anything raised to power 0 is 1. Then we have plus 1 times 2 raised to power minus 1. Remember, the minus turns to 1 over, and then we have 2 raised to power 1 plus 1 times 2 raised to power minus 2. The minus turns to 1 over, and then we have 2 raised to power 2 plus 1 times 2 raised to power minus 3. The minus turns to 1 all over 2 raised to power 3. Does this make sense? So let's do this. We have 1 times 8 is 8 plus 1 times 4 is 4 plus 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1 times 1 is 1. Do you understand? So if we do this part, we'll be having plus 1 times 1 all over 2 raised to power 1 is 2 plus 1 times 1 all over 2 raised to power 2 is 2 times 2, so that is 4 plus 1 times 1 all over 2 raised to power 3 is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Now you can see I'm moving from one step to the other. The reason for this is when you move from one step to the other, you try as much as possible to eliminate errors. Does this make sense? So we have 8 plus 4, 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15. Do you understand? So we have 15, and then we've got plus 1 times 1 all over 2 is 1 over 2, plus 1 times 1 all over 4 is 1 over 4, plus 1 times 1 over 8 is 1 over 8. Does this make sense? Now we can add them together. Remember, we find the LCM. So we have LCM of 8, 4, and 2. LCM of 8, 4, and 2, or 2, 4, and 8 is 8. 8 divided by 1 is 8. 8 times 15. So we have 15 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 0 carry 4. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4 is 12. So we have 120 plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. So can we add all these up? So if we solve the remaining by the side here, we'll be having this equals to 120 plus 4 is 124, plus 2 is 126, plus 1 is 127. So we have 127 all over 8. And this. So we have this question: convert 120.14 in base 5 to base 10. Remember, base 5 is like a bungalow. Base 10 is the skyscraper. So it's like a promotion. So we are still multiplying. Now also, don't forget, multiply, rank, and then simplify. And lastly, do not forget that we have the whole, then we have the fraction. So we have 120.14 in base 5. So we multiply each of the digits by the base. So we are going to have 1 times 5 plus 2 times 5 plus 0 times 5. Do you understand? Now remember, we rank the whole parts first before the fractional part, and we are ranking from right to left. Do you understand? So we start with 0, 1, and 2. Now we can do the fractional part. So we have plus 1 times 5 plus 4 times 5. Do you understand? Now in this case we are ranking from left to right, and then we are starting with minus 1. So we have minus 1 and minus 2. And I hope you've not forgotten that we are ranking the base. So it's 5 we are ranking throughout. Does this make sense? So now we can simplify. So we have 1 times 5 raised to power 2 is 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 2 times 5 raised to power 1 is 5. Plus 0 times 5 raised to power 0 is 1, because anything raised to power 0 is 1. And then we have plus 1 times 5 raised to power minus 1. The minus at the index turns to 1 all over. So we have 5 raised to power 1. Plus 4 times 5 raised to power minus 2. The minus at the index turns to 1 all over 5 raised to power 2. I hope you understand. So we'll be having 1 times 25 is 25. Plus 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 0 times 1 is 0. And for the fractional part, we have plus 1 times 1 all over. 5 raised to power 1 is 5. Plus 4 times 1 all over. 5 raised to power 2 is 5 times 5, which will give us 25. Do you understand? So we'll be having 25 plus 10 is 35. Plus 0 is still 35. Then we have plus 1 times 1 all over 5 is 1 all over 5. Plus 4 times 1 all over 25. Now in this case we have to be very careful. So this is like 4 all over 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 25 is 25. So we have 4 all over 25. Now we can add them together. Do you understand? Since they are fraction, we find the LCM. LCM of 5 and 25 is 25. 25 divided by 1 is 25. So we have to do 25 times 35. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 carry 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 carry 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. So we have 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. So we have 875 plus 25 divided by 5 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 25 divided by 25 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. So if we do the remaining by the side here, we would have, so we have equals to 875 plus 5 will give us 880. Plus 4 will give us 884 all over 25. And remember, this is in base 10. So this is our answer, 884 all over 25. So when you are converting decimals in other bases to base 10, don't forget to always differentiate the whole from the fractional parts. For the whole, you are ranking from 0 and you are ranking from right to left. Then for the fractional part, you are ranking from -1 from left to right. Does that make sense?